Thank you, Udit, for agreeing to be here and taking initiative on actually educating us with respect to the GenAI way. Uh, Chetali, if you'll uh, share the slides, I'll just take
Yeah.
everybody through the. Our organization Meeraq actually comes literally from the word Miraki, which means the essence of ourselves. So, uh, in whatever we do, we put in our heart and soul and all our creativity to bring about impact and transformation within the organization. We are the largest coaching and the most impactful learning development company, and we are dedicated to have a comprehensive behavior transformation with the organization. So we work along with you guys, and we try to create solutioning around the need. And yeah, that is what our primary focus is. There are different modes by which we do that. They're learning interventions, so behavior upskilling, leadership development programs, the coaching bit, which is individual coaching, coaching on demand, or group coaching. We also do certification for the cohort of people, so manager as a coach or effective mentoring for the group of manager who are looking for to be trained. For all this, we have assessment which support us to understand the transition from where the participants were to where they can be or they would be. We have almost 70,000 hours of coaching that we have facilitated. We have almost 150 plus businesses that we have collaborated with till now, and we have almost trained 8,500 plus employees, and all this with an NPS of 70 plus. We are proud to say that. Yes. And in this journey, our USP, Chetali, you can go to the next slide. Yeah. In this, our USP is our platform, which is proprietary, created internally, and all our intervention, including coaching and training and assessments, everything actually happens through the platform. So it actually eases for the HR and the L&D leader to see the progress of the engagement, while it also bring in a lot of insight, because the participants can actually go review sessions even late, human resource and learning and development, and bring in different insights. Yeah. I'm really glad and thankful to Udit to agree for this. So we welcome our speaker, Udit Bhatia. He's the Chief Learning Officer at EY India. He has almost 23 years of experience in talent development space. He's contributing towards developing the talent for future. He's also known for his strategic vision, and he's adapted designing change plan for disruption. So I think the speciality is he's worked with the large teams here to bring in that change and the transformation, actually making everybody future ready, which is the relevant topic for today that we are talking about. So we introduce the topic. Chetali, can you go to the next slide? So yeah, Udit, over to you for adapting the GenAI wave and yeah, taking us through the challenges and how we'll navigate this through. Thank you so much, Chetali.
First of all, Chitali, Shikha, thank you so much for having me. I love the way you introduced me. Uh, but I can see some of the names there, so I have to probably start with a little bit of what do you call asterisk terms and conditions apply. Guys, I'm not an expert in the GenAI space. Shikha ने ऐसे ही अभी झूठ बोला आप सबको. I'm a poor soul who is probably sitting on the top, leading around 45,000 people. I'll share my screen with you, and I'll probably try and take you through what keeps me awake at night. I think the the heading of the session should have been what keeps learning leaders awake these days. And it's definitely not learning, it is actually Gen AI. So let me share my screen and then maybe we can start the conversation from there. So the good part is I asked Shikha and Chitali especially that how will I see others? Then you might see me at times looking somewhere else, which is because I have two screens in front of me. So please don't mind. But Gen AI, beyond the generative anxiety, you can remove the A, and it's the AI anxiety these days for everybody. So what is the essence of the next maybe 45 minutes which I have with you? Shikha has already said a few things about me, but just to add a little bit more, I've been with the firm now for 16 years. This is my 16th year with EY, overall around 24 years now in the industry. Uh, I came to EY just for 2 years. I thought I'll stick around for 2 years and then move on. I was a consultant before that. But then life took a different turn and I've stayed here for 16. And I think I have a few more or many more years to go. But what my wonderful team does is, and why this introduction is important, is what my wonderful team does is they actually ensure that the business is running. The business as usual or whatever strategies we place, they are running. My job is to actually ensure that we get ready for the future. We are 45,000 people in India today. It says 40,000 plus, but we'll soon touch 45 in another 20 days. And the job is will we stay relevant in the business. And I keep saying this topic is why this is important for all the learning leaders, the entrepreneurs, CEOs, the coaches, the freelance trainers. It is important because today the word around in the business space is not growth. Growth was always there, but today the new word in the business space is relevance. Do we How do we stay relevant in today's world? Thank you so much for writing in a lot of questions to when you were registering for this webinar. I will try and answer a few of them. I can't promise that I'll be able to answer all, but I'll try my best that I'm able to answer a lot. And why I said what is keeping me awake at night is because of this ecosystem which I work in. And some of you are part of that. Some of you are helping me set up my learning ecosystem, deliver my learning ecosystems. But this is why I stay awake at night, because in a year in EY, what we do is we have these wonderful professionals and thousand odd leaders sitting at the top asking us constantly that, can you create a learning strategy which is fit for future? You have close to 15,000 people in a year, which is also 3.2 million hours of delivery of learning. And you name the modality and the mode, it is there. Whether you start from a classroom training, or you talk about the VILTs, or you talk about the self-paced learning, you talk about the simulated environments, it's there with us. So we clock around 3.2 million hours in a year. It increases at a rate of around 15 to 20% year on year. 800 plus unique journeys. You can imagine the number of solutions and the diversity we have in EY, which means that this number actually talks about, like, it's like India. Every 100 kilometers, the language changes. For us, every 100 kilometers, the solution change. So right from audit, advisory, tax to, you can say strategy. And then we have these wonderful pool of 6,000 facilitators who are today helping us to deliver programs for us. In a year, we send close to 300,000 invites. The overall ecosystem for our learners is 12,000 courses. Now, it might sound as if we have a great learning ecosystem. In spite of having a great learning ecosystem, these days, the word which is giving me nightmares is GenAI. And I don't know, maybe some of you might would like to unmute at a later stage and tell me, Udit, there is nothing to worry. Chill. It is nothing. It is just a hype. It will settle down. We are there to help you. And I'll be happy to get your thoughts as well. But definitely, the world was going fine, and then this word came, because there are two aspects to the story. One is I have a learning team. This structure, which needs to be trained, upskilled, skilled, like all of us. Then I have leaders who are constantly fighting this battle of staying relevant in the business. Then I have these 40,000 people who are looking up to me, that and my team. We are tax professionals. How will you change us? So you need to actually also think about GenAI for them. Then we have these alliances like Udemy, Coursera, other ecosystems which are helping us. Then we have our LMS system, our conventional age-old. We are like what, 100-year-old company. We have our own global LMS ecosystems. So there is a constant battle which is happening constantly between these ecosystems, and then you have to create a GenAI strategy for the firm. Because it's not just like you take a LMS from industry and then you can start upskilling people as and when you want. So I call it the Sholay syndrome. Who is the real hero of Sholay? I don't know. And that's why I probably thought I'll keep this picture for all of you, just to have some fun with GenAI, is the central character. GenAI, you can call it the 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 villain of today's world, who is probably trying to say, when दूर दूर तक जब कोई बच्चा रोता है तो माँ बोलती है चुप हो जा, जेनेआई आ जाएगा. Is it this guy who is the villain? Is it this gentleman who is actually trying to do something good with the GenAI? Or is this gentleman Vijay who's trying to sell his friend in Sholay that मौसी सब कुछ बाकी सब तो ठीक है, लेकिन बस GenAI में वर्ड्स बहुत सारे हैं. GenAI वैसे तो आसान है, लेकिन ये नहीं पता शुरू कहाँ से करना है. So is it about that? Now, what does it mean for industry and talent? I'll spend a few minutes on why GenAI is being talked about, although you've been reading a lot about this GenAI concept. But this number, just look at it. 97% of people in our research said ChatGPT will help their business. We all know ChatGPT just took 5 days to reach a million users. 43 business percentage of people are concerned, or businesses are concerned, that they will have a technology dependency. And mind you, these are businesses. I'm not even talking about individuals, small time entrepreneurs who are right now thinking about how will they operate in the ecosystem. This is an interesting one. 65% of consumers saying that maybe they will trust businesses who are using AI, and no guesses. Maybe it gives them confidence that their company is in the safe hands, and their company is in hands of people who are forward looking. They are connected with. Uh, 97 million jobs to be expected. 77.8 million people, or 77.8 million people who will be using ChatGPT by end of 2024. The market size will increase, but this doesn't end here. When I was doing this research on GenAI, so that I can actually start looking at how I want to look at my ecosystem, there was only one name which came up, which has probably reached a million mark in 5 hours. But after that, it was ChatGPT. It is Threads. By the way, for people who are wondering what Thread is all about, it is basically to help you post or help you post something on your social media networks instantly. So it's again an AI-enabled ecosystem which helps you to do that. But all these ecosystems took from 5 days to some weeks to some months. The one at the bottom, this is 3.5 years to reach a million mark, versus 5 days. So you can imagine if there are so many people who are so active about it. We all know about all these things. This has been there in the news for quite some time. Look at this news in the middle. I was with an IIM Ahmedabad professor, and he said the exactly same thing to me. These days, it is difficult to figure out the assignments which the learner is giving to us. Is it really their assignment, or is it an assignment given by GenAI? And this is just the beginning. So if you can see that Chat GPT passed a Wharton MBA exam, and it's still in its infancy. The next one which is coming up is the Chat GPT Professional. So you can see that in the last 1 or 2 years, what all has happened and what all can happen in this space if it is not embedded properly in our day-to-day life. These are just some numbers for all of us to understand as learning professionals, as talent professionals, and maybe some of us are in this industry. For us in consulting ecosystem, these numbers matter a lot, because in EY, we operate in 29 sectors and 16 core sectors. And all these 40,000 plus professionals who are working today in the industry are actually somewhere working with these clients. So if you can see technology, 88% of software developers reported productivity increase. There are people who are actually in this space, which we call the media and entertainment. Now imagine if you are sitting with a media and entertainment professional who has now started looking at content in a very different way. Now, if on one side we might think about how does it impact me, I am not a media guy. I am not a person who is. So Why does it matter to us? Why does it matter that you can actually generate a motion picture with 97.2% quality score by using GenAI? It matters because that means the speed at which content is going to get created in future in this industry is going to be of a very different level. Why does it matter that a pharma company today can actually come up with a new medicine or a new formula, a novel drug candidate within 21 days? Why does it matter that a financial institute is actually looking at fraud detection with 98% of accuracy? All this is important because the conversations are going to change. The conversations when we are going out in the market and selling, learning, skilling, sourcing, or the kind of talent we want to get into the organizations, the conversations are going to change because the conversations are going to start where Gen AI has already stopped. That is, I can actually get myself, what new stuff are you going to bring to me? I can actually generate my content. What will you do if it can actually read a formula or a chemical formula and it can actually find the gaps and then come up with new elements? I'll not be surprised if Gen AI also helps in future finding new elements. And this again, there are other numbers. It's not leaving any industry today. Uh, you can see there's manufacturing here. You can see entertainment. I've already picked. Look at the banking ecosystem, the way things are changing here. This is not new to all of us. This is not new to me as a learning leader as well. Oh, I can go to ChatGPT 4.0 and I can actually start having a conversation. I can write my content. I can take help. There are platforms in ChatGPT 4.0 and other ecosystems, whether we talk about Bard, Copilot, anything. You can upload your own sheets and you can start analyzing. It can actually help you generate what you call synthetic data, which doesn't exist. You can actually, that machine learning has always been there, Python has always been there. So, what new is GenAI talking about? It can actually help you write a code even if you are not a coder. So, previously, Python coders were all those people who were hardcore technology professionals. These are hardcore professionals who've always worked in the data science space, but it helps you today to write a code. You don't need to be a technology folk. What does it matter when I can actually create a new image using GenAI? How does creating a new image help or matter for a learning professional or a talent professional or a finance professional? Maybe the image generator doesn't impact, but the image, what you call facial recognition, definitely impacts us when we are hiring people. Text to voice generation, what we are trying to do right now, which is sound creation or audio editing or text to voice generation. How does it impact us? How does it impact? 3D printing was already there, but it can help you actually find the gaps which 3D printing, because 3D printing is still depending on what design you want to create. So if you look at these ecosystems in silos, it doesn't matter because to individuals, these can help improve productivity. But when you actually bring all of them together, you can create a tsunami of new ecosystems which will actually impact companies in the coming years. In a recent GenAI class, and some of my team members who are there on this session today will agree, in a recent GenAI session, somebody asked a question, and I can see that in the list of questions which Chetali shared with me. Where do you see GenAI in the next 2 years? And the answer we got from the facilitator was, gone are the days that we talk about anything in 2 years, in years terminologies. We today talk in days and weeks. That what will this technology do to us in the next maybe 2 months or 4 months or 5 months? That is how fast this is gaining traction from people. This is an important one. What I will do in the next session or section is take you through some of the findings from a report from BCG, where it talks about GenAI in talent. And why I have picked up this component of that report is because a lot of that is actually happening today. And these 12 boxes, which we're going to see in the next maybe 3 slides, are impacting each one of us. And it's impacting me. And I will also tell you how within EY, where are we starting to, we have started to create use cases, or you can say the proof of concepts, and we have started talking about it. The first one is create a data-driven and tech-enabled recruiting and onboarding. That's the biggest space which is getting disrupted. Large organizations have huge data sets with them. Large organizations like EY also have a huge history of performance data, history of hiring data, history of rejection data, history of attrition data, history of experience service, history of all those CVs who have got the hobby ecosystems of people. Now visualize with me, if you're an organization which has got so much of data of an individual for the last 30 years multiplied by 40,000 people today, multiplied by 200,000 CVs you screen every year to get your 10,000 people, that's the amount of data which is there sitting in our ecosystems. Now, and this is a real use case which we are building in EY, and it has been given to us if we can quickly turn it around. Now, using that data, if you actually pick up the top 20% of your organization who are or were top performers and they have stayed in the firm for years. If you can, and if you have that data with you, imagine you can actually create a persona of a person who should, must, can work with the organization, because you already have that data with you. But it could not be done before today. But what the technology can help us do is it can actually help us, one, obviously look at this data in a very detailed ecosystem, but help you build this persona for various businesses and functions. When we built those 800 personas for EY for 40,000 professionals, it took us close to 4 months. The hypothesis is that if you're able to do something like this, there are close to around 8,000 personas sitting in the system, which we are not aware of. Like I said, every 100 kilometers, the audience or the person changes, the language changes. This is the first use case which we are working on in UI, which is how can we identify the relevant candidates out of this ocean of. So imagine if you have an assistant built just for you, which can help you, get the right candidate in, because that's a differentiator. You reduce your attrition, you increase your hiring chances, you increase your motivation level, you increase your productivity level, because it can actually bring a lot of different data sets together, but it can help you create a persona and a gap. Now, if that is there, the next one is interview and selection, which is again something which people have started doing now. But I will come to one important part, that what keeps us awake is not the muscle of technology which can help us do this. What keeps us awake is ethics, the hallucinations which GenAI can do, reaching that part of 98% accuracy, 99% accuracy. But these are just this is just one part of it. Now, if you're able to improve your hiring potential, which is your talent recruitment and sourcing, and you're able to improve the interview process, the same competency, the same persona, with the new age technologies, which many of us who are in the technology space and those open sources which are there, you put a control around it. This is what gets created. This is what gets created in a very different way, which is actually curated for a person. And I will show you a few examples how world is changing and how the organizations are looking at content these days. Hence, these three aspects result in something which is a very complete onboarding. So this is one of the use cases, at least, which we are also working on, and I this got my attention. Very strong, but then the requirement for this is you need to have very strong data sets. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of open source data sets which are available and which might not help you because the real knowledge is sitting inside the firm. The second is our very favorite, which is a skill based talent management and learning ecosystem. Now, I know a lot of us have already started using chat GPTs and other OpenAI sources for creating mails, PPTs, course structures, creating new content, developing slides, putting a slide deck in place in just maybe 10 minutes, taking help to write short cases, taking help to write, maybe create videos. We are aware of the power. We are aware of that. But the new word today is this content creation is actually going to curation and creation together. A lot of us will say the Udemy and likes of Udemy, Skillsoft, Coursera, and many other organizations were already doing it. But in one of the use cases in the coming slides, I'll show you, even they have actually now created new ecosystems within their GenAI platforms. Challenge for us as learning leads, which one is the best, which one to trust, where to go. And I'll show you what they have done and what we are looking at. So what am I looking at within the EY space to look at my talent management and learning ecosystem? First of all, I want to start from here. This is my first target, which is using GenAI. Like I said, we have 800 personas in the system and plus 12,000 courses available for people. But I also know there is and I'm sure all the learning professionals and talent professionals will agree, 35 to 40% of people are always below 10 to 15 hours learning in a year. They don't get inside the classes. So there are different challenges you're trying to solve in the learning space. So the first one is, if there are 40,000 people who will probably become 60,000 people, or if there are 1,000 people in an organization who will become, say, 1,200 people, how do you create a learning journey which is very personalized, very similar to what you guys do in Netflix, Amazon, or Flipkart, but people don't have that much time. So how do you do it? Read the words very carefully. It is not just personalized employee learning journeys. It says the learning modules which are aligned to performance and goals. But the most important line is this: adjust the timing. I don't want to go through 2 hours. I don't want to go to 3 hours. Now, people will say, who is asking you to go through 2 hours? You can look at the content index, go to the fourth file. It is still done manually by me. What if there are 1,000 books which I cannot read, but out of those 1,000 books, I am looking to create something for my learners, and there is some technology using GenAI which can read 1,000 books at a time and create and curate only sections which I need and tell me a summary of that. Again, happening, but not in all spaces. So it's not just creating a journey, it is creating a journey which will suit the three learning styles, kinesthetic, or you can say audio or visual category people. So which means that once the journey is created, you have, which is the second category, which is a use case for most of the learning leaders today, which is automate the L&D nudges, integrate into how we work. Uh, it was always there in the learning space, where you could get reels, you could get 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes. But what if I want to create a learning agenda which only has a learning ecosystem which is less than 3 minutes or 5 minutes? Out of the plethora of 100,000 learning opportunities which are there in the ecosystem. To some extent, the closest which has come to this is organizations like Harvard Spark. Maybe others are also doing it, but Harvard Spark has come closer to it because it allows you to select your learning focus areas, your competencies, your ecosystems. But out of their 300,000 videos, it then cuts a longer video into a smaller part, and then it gives you only parts which you are looking at. We also had a very interesting use case in EY. I'll show you a picture here because a lot of our content creators, in months to come, and not even saying years, in months to come, all those companies which were taking pride in creating web-based learnings and charging lakhs and lakhs of rupees for that will have to rethink about the way content is getting created. So, which means they will have to really rethink about the business models. Because organizations, if the BAU, if the operations and the BAU can actually be automated to an extent, you are leaving and you're actually using the human intelligence to create content faster. And because you can create a web page today, you can create a SharePoint today, you can create a content today, you can create a new agenda today, it's suiting 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. You can co-create models coming in from different sources. So that industry definitely will have to probably come up with something new. But just a small example of how this ecosystem is impacting us. These are the two case studies which you can see. This case study was written for our manager group. This is just a first page. It took us 21 days to write this, and we wrote it internally. This case study on the right hand side, a major part of it just took us 8 hours using GenAI. So this was a major difference between the two case studies which were written at the same time. Imagine if you have a repository of maybe 100 case studies and you want to revamp the entire case study case booklet. You have around 3,000 courses and you want to revamp that. You are in a functional business, like we have a functional business of, say, audit or attacks or an internal audit or methodology around transformation. And I just convert it into a way that people can actually do it on their own and I don't even need to stand inside a class. So the second use case is around relooking at the way content is getting delivered in our ecosystems. This morning, I was playing with one of the open sources. For the last 7 or 8 years, I've been grappling with the problem statement of we got like 1,000 odd solutions and sub solutions within the professional services space. If I have to teach somebody what all EY does, how do I do it? So many people came to me and they said, there's a quiz you can run. You can run a 2-day simulation. You can do anything. You can create a game. But imagine there are 500 to 1,000 odd solutions, and you need to train a partner or a director of what all EY does. Uh, then I actually started playing this morning, and I got 4 options where I can start building the content, keeping in mind that the complexity of the subject. So that's the second area where it is showing us a lot of disruption. The third area, I'm also being mindful of the time, is the course correct quickly, which is creating these mentors and coaches for our people. So this is a space I will probably, in interest of time, just spend 1 minute on this. This is a space where all of us were grappling as learning leaders that how do we take coaching and mentoring to the last person in the food chain? Well, you can create ecosystem, you can mandate it, you can actually say, oh, if you don't do as a manager, if you don't coach your people, I will give you training on coaching and mentoring, but if you don't do it, I'm going to impact your PMDP or whatever you call performance improvement. But today, with just simple. I was just looking at one of the solutions which somebody has created on emotional intelligence and other ecosystem, Rocky.ai or something. I don't need anybody. I can actually do it on my own. If I need a buddy or a mentor, it can be created where ask a question and you will get an answer, and you're actually making the system more and more intelligent. So the buddy system and the mentoring system can actually be converted quickly. So I'll summarize these three for you. These are three areas which learning leaders are thinking about today, and it's really helping. But I will not show you all the use cases because I want to leave some around 10 minutes for Q&A for us. But I will show you the one of my favorite, which is this. I don't know how many of you have seen this Coursera builder. The differentiator is not that it doesn't exist in other platforms. The differentiator is I can use the platform courses which are there, but I can also add my videos, my courses, my documents, and then co-curate with an external ecosystem, and I can start doing it. And imagine if you can also add your competencies of the entire firm, and then you start creating it. This is a video creation platform. We all have seen it, but then I will probably move to something which is again one of my favorite, which is the coaching. So imagine you're actually having a conversation, and like our typical coaching methodologies which have existed so far, coaching is more around finding more about the other person. Let the other person talk about their own ecosystem, and it forces you to answer it in a way. If he's not satisfied, it will tell you, I think you should add more. I need more words to assess what you are going through. Today, maybe the only thing which is left today out of GenAI is the feeling part, which I'm sure sooner or later they will infuse that as well. But thinking, acting, doing, and asking is all happening. I will leave these use cases with all of you, but there are many more which have already been there for years. Our problem in the EY ecosystem is we can't just go out and use it because obviously because of the infosec. But there are a lot of stuff which has already been created, but and there's no harm in playing with it because you start thinking about how do you want to create an ecosystem which is well connected, well integrated, and you can also look at how you want to relook at the content. I will probably straight away jump to one slide. This is learning leaders, business leaders. Everybody knows ethics in AI. We are probably in a very different ecosystem. So for us, problem is that we cannot just go out and start training open source databases. We have to create something which is internal so that we can control it. Yes, your platforms allows you to do that, but I think it's still in the initial stage. You can see some of the some of the articles which have actually gone around this ecosystem. And the biggest nightmare, or maybe something which I was surprised and shocked, was that 100,000 accounts getting compromised using ChatGPT. So while it sounds very interesting, it's a very interesting ecosystem, but the ones which are on the left is something which is still, I think, in the nascent stage. Will need a lot of help. Uh, to take a picture of this, it's a very basic GenAI charter for learning ecosystems, learning people. If you want to create something, you want to create a new solution, try and see if you can fill this. But I can see we have around 11 minutes left, so I can probably take a pause here because after this, more or less, I don't have a lot to share. Because once you start talking about this ecosystem, you can go on for hours and hours and hours. But I'll take a pause here and then maybe Shikha, Chetali, let me know if we can open it for Q&A, or if you want me to emphasize a bit more on one of any of the slides. Is it okay if I come out of sharing slide mode?
Yeah, I think what we can do is we can just let it be participative and people can ask questions. And maybe if need be and there is a specific question you want to share a slide for, then you can do that. Would that be helpful?
We have. Yes.
Sure. Okay. Sure. So everyone, I think, yeah, thank you so much, Udit, for, yeah, I mean, such comprehensive information. I think it was very, very useful for everyone. Anybody has any questions, any discussions they want to ask specifically to Udit, please come off mute and yeah.
Yes, hi. My name is Vijaya and I am an executive coach. And hearing about AI in coaching is rather worrisome for professionals like us. We are forever wondering if we are going to be displaced or replaced by technology. I was just wondering how far this technology has reached and how much time do you think as coaches we have before we are replaced or displaced?
Should I answer your question from my mind or from my heart? Because my heart is with coaches.
Or maybe a combination of two.
In the coming few years or months, how I see the coaching ecosystem changing, Vijay, is that for CEOs and CFOs and the top leadership, as learning leaders and talent leaders, we still like to have human to human touch and not totally shift to the technology part. But when it comes to our junior ecosystem, because one of the age old problem in the coaching ecosystem is the cost of coaching juniors. So I think the technology might take over the junior members, which is managers. It will start early because of technology. We'll be able to offer it to many more people. But when it comes to hardcore business result coaching, I still see there is a lot of time to go. It's still not getting replaced easily and quickly. So you might see a coaching ecosystem starting for a senior manager who's still 5 years away from partnership. And as the person moves closer to partnership or senior leadership, they will start going for one-to-one coaching.
Thank you so much.
So you don't need to worry a lot. You just need to ensure that you stay closer to the top leadership.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks.
Okay, I can see Sanjay asking a question around effective strategy for leveraging learning outcomes across various disciplines. Um, Sanjay, my suggestion to you will be if you are a large organization, I don't know if you're there on the screen, if you can actually come up. It'll be nice to have a conversation around this. But you can't change the entire ecosystem. I'm talking from a volume business, which we do in EY. I can't change the entire ecosystem, but I can identify those core areas where if I make a change, I will see an impact immediately. Anything which is around, say, and I'll just take an example. Internal audit is a space I can actually transfer immediately because I will save money, I'll save time, and I will save I will probably target something which will impact 4,000, 5,000 odd people. So when you're looking at outcomes, don't try to change the entire world in one go. Identify which business case. Use the business case format which I shared, the charter plan, because then you will identify the right problem area in your business. Don't change the entire stuff. It does not make sense. You need to identify a few ecosystems. Leveraging artificial intelligence to enhance learning outcomes. Oh, sorry, I'm mixing the two questions. What do you think is the rush of getting the learnable bite in 3 minutes? I will probably, that's a good question, Aditi. Um I will tell you to do a small research when you have some time. And I was just sharing this with some of my team members recently. Just do a small research on how generations have changed from a baby boomer to what we have today. So just do a small research and ask a few questions: how people were taking decisions, how you were allowing different generations to take decisions. You will see the Gen Z and Gen Alpha actually changing really fast. This the bite-sized modules today is not for the baby boomers and generation X, Y, Z. There are those generations who still believe in holding a book in their hand and actually reading it. So those loyalties will not change. But if you really start looking at X, Y, Z, and Alpha, maybe you will get an answer there that why there is a need to reduce the learning bite size to 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And it is also because of overload of information already being there. So in that, it's like picking up that right drop of water from an ocean, which is really applicable to you.
Udit, there is one more question from Aditi, which is on mental health issues with respect to the social structure. Would you want to take that?
I have started talking to my family that I need to buy a farmhouse somewhere, because if it continues like this and I'm always connected with my technology, then maybe one day the most difficult thing to procure, or maybe you can say, you will have resorts where they will say that everybody else is allowed, but no technology, no phones, no television, no GenAI, nothing. Jokes apart, I think that is where responsible AI is still getting developed. It is not there yet. So, Aditi, too early to comment on that. The governments and regulatory bodies are already worried about it. It is not just the mental health, it is also about how this technology can safeguard our bigger ecosystem, which is our macroeconomy, our social economy. How do we safeguard that? Responsible AI is still in a nascent stage, uh, but you never know. But it will definitely have an impact if it goes unnoticed. Maybe the next generation, which is going to probably come and work with us, will be very different. And we might not, we will probably have to stop thinking about 5 days a week or 6 days a week. We'll have to think about hours in a day, like a fresher studying in US and is allowed to work for 20 hours. Maybe you might see people only working in hours,
Yeah.
but that might change.
I think Udit Rajni wants to ask a question. She has raised her hand there.
Please.
Thanks, Udit. Extremely insightful. Mine is not a question. Let me introduce. I'm Rajni. I'm a business excellence and transformation professional. My question, or what I pondered now, is when we are talking about responsible AI, I shift towards responsible AI leadership. How leaders are being very mindful of identifying use cases and implementing versus hustling because everybody else is doing in this world, just rushing through applying AI. So doesn't this bother?
I think it's a valid thought, but it is ideology or ideal world versus real world. What is happening, Rajini? So one, for sure, it is not about applying it mindlessly. So it is not that. At least I can talk from my experience point of view, what I see around me. It is not mindless application today happening. People are putting in a lot of thought, because if you recall, I started the session by saying today the conversation happening in the boardroom is not about just growth. the conversation happening about in boardroom is relevance, which is because with new models and new ecosystems and the funding which is coming in for people and the solutions which are cropping up from every part of the country as well as the world, the problem statement has changed. So the responsibility of the leadership is definitely looking at keeping the business safe, keeping the business relevant, and ensuring that if the business is safe and we are relevant in the business, ensuring that the talent and skills are matched. I think it is still a myth where people say people are going to lose their jobs because it will take time. We are not going to lose jobs. We're going to replace the skill sets with something different, which is required. You will see more and more prompt engineers coming up now. You will see more and more people who can actually have a conversation with a machine at a very early age, and not coming basically from an engineering or a technology background. But you're right, it's the responsibility of the leadership. But I can assure you it is not mindless application. There's a bit of anxiety there, but anxiety is not about how will it impact people. The anxiety is, will I be staying relevant in the industry or not? Or will somebody actually take over?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. No, I didn't emphasize mindless. I meant mindfulness because these are two extremely different points. I meant mindful implementation, but thanks, Udit. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rajni.
Anyone
Okay.
else has any questions? Then please come up right now. Otherwise, yeah, okay. There is one from Madhulika on the chat.
Which are the one or two areas within hiring that organization is using GenAI for? Today, Madhulika, the most difficult thing in recruitment is to find the right person at the right cost, at the right time. So the problem statement with which all the recruitment specialist or talent acquisition folks are trying to solve is, can I reduce the lead time of hiring a person? Can I select the right CV out of a gamut of like 100 CVs which are thrown at me? Can I identify a person who's going to get selected in the next 2 rounds and in the cost? That is the problem statement they're trying to solve with GenAI, because there is a solution there.
Thank you, Anita, for the feedback. So Udit, yeah, I think there are no more questions. If we get more questions, we'll just get back to you. And yeah, you can share your feedback. Thank you so much for this session. It was very, very insightful. And yeah, the Sholay thing will remain with me. Quite inspirational. One of my favorite movies. So yeah, thanks for bringing in the fun part and a lot of context of what is going on with smaller or larger organization and how they are prepping up with respect to L&D. Thank you.
Thank you, Shikha. Thanks, Chitali. And thank you so much for having me today. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in.